Welcome to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Linkowski, and I am a certified franchise consultant. And Franchise Focus is all about talking with people in the franchise world, and especially those owners that are out there doing this day in and day out. And today in studio, we have with us Shanequa Wilson, who is the owner of Blue Moon Estate Sales up in North Jersey. And welcome, Shanequa.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for coming all this way from Linden, New Jersey to come down and talk with our audience about what it's like to be a franchise owner. And Shanequa, we're going to just back up a moment and talk about you were with United.
Yes.
You were with United for quite some time, and you were in that corporate world.
Yes.
And how did this all, what was your background, and how did you end up becoming a franchise owner?
Yes, so I started my career in the airline industry in '95. So initially I was with Continental Airlines and held various roles throughout my career there. And then at the merger, I stayed on with United Airlines. So between the two airlines, I have 25 years. The last half of that specifically in human resources and talent acquisition. So we all know what happened in 2020 with the coronavirus. And so during that time, my position went away. And so I took the rest of the year off to kind of understand what I wanted to do next, what that meant, because I had gone through a few situations in the airline industry where it took a downturn. You know, the 9/11 situation, I was there during that time. Then the SARS epidemic after that. And so now this was one of those, third strike is kind of how I saw it. So I was one of the more fortunate employees where I was fully vested. So all of my benefits that I earned during my tenure there were kept intact. And so, come January 2021, I started my career search. And so what I was finding is there were a lot of, because of the economy at the time and the way the job market was, there were not a lot of opportunities that I thought would benefit me, right. Meaning, I saw a lot of positions that were they made two positions into one and marketed that way, or they would market a job and it would not be paid at the salary that it should be. With a background in HR, I kind of understood some of the mechanics of what was going on in the job market. And so I decided to take a different route. And so I started working with an executive coach. And one of the things we did was explore franchises. And so we explored several different franchises, and then I ultimately landed on Blue Moon. That took several months to kind of get there, but then I ultimately made my decision and moved on from there.
What kind of other concepts were you presented with when you were in this search?
Yeah, so of course there were like HR consultancy franchises, which with my background was something that would have been easy to transition into. But I was looking for something a little different. I wanted to kind of step a little bit out of my comfort zone. And I also wanted it to be something where I can do with my family, because at that time, it wasn't just me. I had other family members who were affected as well and looking for a new career path. And so that was what I went into as I thought about the process. And so I looked at some house flipping franchises. I looked at another franchise that also involved a vending machine with healthy food options. So the variety was vast and huge. And why I ultimately chose Blue Moon, one is because they were the only franchise that I came across that offered medical insurance. Mm-hmm. And so as a single person, I needed that to be something that was available for me at an affordable option. And then also, Blue Moon it's all about interacting with people. So I love interacting with people, and what better way to do that when you're buying a treasure or an item that you can get at a bargain, so to speak. And so, I had my family members, help me out with this. So it's hugely, right now, it's a family and friend business that I have, and they've been very instrumental along the way.
Fantastic. So we're going to get back to the fact that your family's there. When you were looking at these concepts, was your family supportive about this whole process, or were they very skeptical? How did that go? Yeah,
so I didn't include my family in the decision-making process until I had decided which franchise I was going with, because I didn't want that to sway me in any way. But once I revealed what I was doing and why I chose the franchise I chose, of course I did get that question, well, why didn't you get, the more popular food franchises? Why didn't you purchase one of those? And I'm like, because that's not what I wanted to do. Right. So I was looking for something that's low inventory. I didn't want to have to carry inventory. I didn't want something that was heavily regulated by like OSHA standards or food and safety handling. I didn't want that. When I thought about a franchise, I wanted it to be something fun that I would enjoy doing. I didn't want it to feel like I'm just going to another job. And so that's why I chose Blue Moon.
Really, really well done. That's excellent, Shanequa. I love everything about what you just said. And, because you do start getting those people in your ear, and then that starts making this very, extensive process that much more cloudy and complicated. So that's really good. So Blue Moon Estate Sales, let's talk about what that is. You've got the word estate, the word sales. You just talked about, finding a treasure and, having someone find a treasure and the excitement about that. What exactly are we talking about here?
Yes, so we help people who are in a period of transition. So if you're older, you want to retire, you want to move out of state, you don't want to take your items with you, we can help with that. If you're maybe transitioning into an assisted living facility where you can't take all of your belongings, we help you with that as well. If you're in a situation where you need to just settle in a state for whatever reason, you've experienced some type of change in your life where you have to fully settle in a state, we can help with that. So what we would do is we would come into the home, we provide free consultations, we assess the items in the home to make sure there's enough there to have a sale. Being part of a franchise, there are some minimum fees and things that we have to make sure the sales cover. And so we don't want to have a situation where at the end of a sale, you don't see the maximum proceeds from the sale. So once we identify that there are enough items, we would come in, we would stage the home, we would make it feel like a retail shopping experience for the customers, and then we would price the items as well. We use a 7-point pricing scale where we look at various online tools and resources to help us come up with a great price for the item. And so as a customer, when you're coming in, you may see something that you've always desired and maybe could not afford it at full price. And so we look at it as we're keeping things out of landfills and finding new homes for these items for people to enjoy for the rest of their lives.
Really? So you had nothing, like were you a big yard sale person before this? Like was that something that you enjoyed to do?
I do enjoy a good yard sale, a good garage sale, and my cousin who also helps with the business as well, she likes flea markets and things like that, so I felt it would be a good mix for us to kind of move into that.
Excellent. So you have this passion that but you didn't have any experience in it.
I did not.
Right? You didn't know anything about any of this. You didn't know what this teacup is worth or what this, whatever this is, like you didn't have any of that. So the franchise gives you this extensive training and I would assume it was all virtual, right? Or did you go in person?
It was virtual. Okay. So I believe I was one of the second or third kind of cohorts who did it virtually because of coronavirus. Previously to that, it was live in-person training at the headquarters in North Carolina. Okay,
so they do this virtually. You're able to understand it. Were you, after the training, like feeling completely ready, or were you like totally terrified after?
I was absolutely totally terrified. And it's not because of the level of training at all. The training was awesome. It's just the idea of now you have all this information, now you got to go put it into practice, right? And so that's the tough part.
And you're still dealing with the pandemic, right?
And you're still dealing with the pandemic.
You've got to deal with coming into people's homes and whether or not they're comfortable with you coming in there, and are you comfortable going in there, and your staff, and all of that good stuff. So you're still dealing with all of these different issues. So let's come back to the fact that you said that you've got, this is a family affair. You have family working with you. So how many of your employees are family? How many employees do you have?
So I have 11, and they're all part-time. Okay. Out of that 11, 9 are family members, and the others are friends of the family members. And so I think that's part of the reason why I was able to get off to a good start. because it's easier, in my opinion. Your family members will be very frank with you, and they will tell you just how it is. And I need that, right? I don't want someone who's going to come in and tell me what they think they should be telling me. And so I think it was good for me to start off with my family and friends. And also it helps with budgeting and keeping costs low, because the business itself is so cyclical, where you don't want to have people on payroll with nothing to do. And so, take now for an example, we are, this is not this is a low peak period for the business. And so, they all have their other jobs now, and they're able to kind of coordinate when I need them, so it works out well for now.
So it's supplemental income for them.
Yes.
And then you always have this pool to draw from,
yes,
which is very helpful. Mm-hmm. So on an average, and I assume most estate sales are happening on the weekend, correct?
Correct.
So on an average, how many estate sales are you running in a weekend?
So
or what's the goal?
Yeah, so the goal is to have a sale every weekend, maybe skip a week here or there. Being new and starting out, I'm averaging about one a month, which is the average. But this time next year, I expect to have a sale every week, with give or take a week here or there.
Okay, all right. So the goal is, every week, and you're at one per month. And are you feeling good with where you've been? Like, is it giving you enough for your own income and for your own lifestyle at this point, understanding that you're still continuing to ramp up?
Yeah, so it's a little slower than I had anticipated, but I do see it picking up now. As soon as the new year came in, my phone started ringing more, people started asking more questions, so I am out getting more consultations and getting, dates on the books. And so hopefully I can see that it's going to where I wanted to go. I think the timing of when I started, I started in the middle of a peak, and then it started going down. And so now I'm coming full circle, and I should see that trajectory. And once I start building my base more, because I am the first franchisee in New Jersey, and so getting our name out there is part of the process as well, and building a brand and a following.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that is a perfect way. We're going on a trajectory. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right with you on the other side of this.
It was the night before breakfast. The final boss was in sight. When the craving struck Austin, and he called it a night. Toasted breakfast burritos are here. Power down and sleep well. The sooner you sleep, the sooner you'll get one. Only at Taco Bell. Bung.
What are you doing with these? Hi, I'm Dave Seibel, host of Don't Run Out of Money on RVN TV. Each week we'll bring you the people and topics to help you make smart decisions about your money so that you don't run out of money. You can catch us Fridays at 10 a.m. and Saturdays and Sundays at 11, right here on RVN TV. We'll see you then.
If I crave something, I have to have it.
Well, so what are you craving? Like, what do you crave?
Attention, apparently. Look at him all sitting in the middle.
I know, right? It is really awkward. You just chose to sit there.
Sonic Crave Cheeseburger.
There's so much more to franchising than just the fast food industry. I'm Lisa Linkowski, and I am the host of Franchise Focus. Each week, I'm going to be bringing in guests that are various experts within the franchise industry, such as attorneys, lenders, franchisors, as well as those that actually own franchises. Be sure to tune in weekly and check us out on RVN Television.
Get ready. Our most popular battery is even more powerful. The stronger, lasts longer Energizer Max.
This time, our delicious, crispy, hand-battered chicken comes in piece. 8-piece.
Try new nuggets today for just $3.99 or get it delivered.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Welcome back to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Lankowski, and sitting with me in studio is Shanequa Wilson, who is the owner of Blue Moon Estate Sales. And Shanequa, we were talking about, this upward trajectory that 2022 is going to bring for you. So tell us, what does your average day look like?
So I wake up, I've learned to sleep in a little from the corporate world. I would get up extra early. Now I get up between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. I call that sleeping in, so that makes me happy. And I typically start my day off by just following up from the leftover to-dos from the day prior, because there's always something that needs to be done. Then I check my inbox to see if any new leads came in and follow up from there accordingly. Once that's over, I start looking for my next lead. So I do some searches on LinkedIn, I do random Google searches just to, try to find additional partners I can work with that will lead to customers or clients. I search for things like probate attorneys, estate planning companies. I look for assisted living communities. I look for realtors. Realtors are a huge, focus for me, because ultimately they're the ones who are in a person's home. They need to sell the home and may need to have a quick turnaround on downsizing or, removing the furnishings from the home. And so, that can take me on many different angles. If I have a sale that's approaching, I make sure that all of the pictures are uploaded online for marketing, advertising. I try to also make sure we're getting our pricing correct. So sometimes I have to do research on items, the originality, the age, condition, and we look at different things and how they sold on other sites previously and things like that, just to make sure that our pricing is up to par, what people will be willing to pay for it at the time. So, and then if it's leading into the same week of the sale, make sure we're at the client's home, making sure things are staged the right way and easy to get around, things like that.
And I've thrown more than one yard sale, and it is a PIA. It is extremely difficult.
Next time you'll call me.
100%. You gotta lug everything out, and you hope that people show up, and then they're haggling with you about the stuff, and then at the end of it, I'm like, good grief, now I'm supposed to bring this stuff back in my house. I'm like, no, just get a truck and take it away. It is all it's difficult. It's not a fun thing. So you take all of that off of the person, which is very nice.
Absolutely.
And how do you find, are the customers very grateful for your assistance with all of this? Because, I have one or two family members that like to hold on to things. And so letting go of these prized treasures and these prized things that you've collected over the years is not easy.
Right.
So how is that for the family members, especially like you mentioned about going into an assisted living, talk about difficult. Sometimes, the family members are going, I can't take this stuff on. I can't have this in my house. I already have all the stuff that I could, want or need. You take a couple things.
Right.
How is that for you?
So the situation varies, honestly. I've seen situations where maybe the parents have passed away and the children are the ones who are now responsible for, figuring out what to do next. And those are the cases that are simpler because they've already taken what they want and they're at a point now, we just want to sell the home. So we'll let you do what you do, your area of expertise, just give us back an empty home. And then I've also had situations where the person was still occupying the home and the children were there to assist and they understood that there was that issue of letting go. And so they would take the parent out, for a couple hours while we did what we needed to do, making sure, of course, that, the important thing is that they get what they want out so that it doesn't become part of the sale. And, we've had a situation where we had to leave and come back because she just was not ready to say, I want to, I'm ready to let this piece go and keep this piece. She just was not there. So we also have to know when to walk away. We don't want to make it seem like we're pressuring them to sell their items because that's not what it is at all. We want to be there to help them. We understand it can be a very emotional time. And so all of our employees are trained on emotional securities and making sure that the client comes first and what they need, is taken into consideration. But at the same time, there's a fine line because we've had situations where once we've marketed and advertised a sale, that a client decides, oh, well, now I want to keep this item. That's not a good place to be because you have customers who are expecting to come purchase these items.
Right.
And that can, kind of put a blemish on your business side. And on the homeowner side, they're just still very emotionally tied. So we have to kind of find that fine line to walk
balance.
there.
Yeah, and you're this conduit for them, and so you have to, like you said, provide that emotional support and be understanding and empathetic to them about the situation that could be going on. And you're providing an incredible service, and to the point that you talked about the environment, and how much this also could end up in a landfill somewhere, and instead it's a prized possession that now someone has found that is now going to go into their home. And so that whole idea of reusing and repurposing,
yes,
right?
That's our contribution to the eco-friendly environment.
Right. So you're helping out the environment as well. So with the with you being the only New Jersey franchise owner, you don't have other Blue Moon owners nearby. So how far away is the closest Blue Moon owner?
New York.
New York.
So we have New York and Connecticut, and they're adding new owners monthly at this point.
And do you talk with the other owners on a regular basis?
I do. So of course, you have your cohort that you had, starting out, and then the New York team. I like to call them my Westchester guys. We communicate quite frequently because they're at a space where if it borders close enough to New York and New Jersey where it's too far for me to travel, they're willing to take the job. And so, we have that type of communication. And then it's also very helpful just to understand what everyone else is experiencing and things that they've learned. So sharing best practices and tips and ideas. There's a weekly forum that we have with all of the franchisees are welcome to join. Then you also have a weekly meeting with your franchise coordinator. And then we have our Facebook page where everyone can go on and, ask for ideas and recommendations as well.
And that's always the beauty of being a part of a franchise,
Yes.
is that if you would try to create, Shanequa's estate sales, it would be much harder because you're sitting there trying to figure this all out yourself, and instead you get to talk to other people and hear best practices, commiserate when things are a little bit more difficult, celebrate when there's wins, right?
Right.
So I'm guessing that you are in with everything that they offer. Whatever it is that they are offering, you're there and you're a model franchise owner, right?
Of course,
right? Because sometimes the franchise owners don't do that, and they don't take them up on it. And I'm going, why? Why wouldn't you want to listen, and why wouldn't you want to hear? Because everyone has different experience that comes to this, and they'll all have different nuggets that you're going to be able to take and go, ooh, I can use that, and I'm going to try that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I mentioned the franchise the headquarters is in North Carolina, which is a different environment altogether than New Jersey. The market itself is different. The homes are different. When you think of a home in North Carolina, the size of a home, a $500,000 home in North Carolina, you're not getting nearly the size of that home that you're getting in New Jersey. And so, where I sometimes see when they stage their homes, they have lots of space to maneuver. Homes in New Jersey, some of the homes are smaller, and you don't have as much wiggle room to stage. So we have to be creative with staging and how we handle that piece as well.
Smart, right? So even region, regions are different, and your territories are different.
Right.
So let me ask you this: was there any one misconception that you had coming into this about franchising itself?
So, and this isn't a direct result of the franchise itself, but I assumed that there would be a pool of clients waiting, right? Because it's a franchise, they have this connection, they have We're part of the Best Life Brands organization. So we have a comfort care, we have assisted living facility, care patrol that have the type of clients that we would be working with. Right. And so I assumed that there would be a pool of candidates, but there was not. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't get leads, because I do get lead generations from some of the other marketing tools in our advertising. But I just thought there would be a lot more to start out with.
Right, yeah, that's one of the things that I always try to make clear to people that, you know, this is going to be an empty position. Now, have you become aligned with those other franchises? Are any of them located in your territory?
They are not. The closest one is maybe 40 minutes away or so. Okay. And you know, and they're spread out, but they still, you know, have value, right? So I stay close with my network as much as I can.
And as they do start to establish themselves in your area, that's only going to be a benefit to you, because then you're going to have an automatic ally within these exact areas that, you know, are your potential reach, right?
Right.
So 2022, it's just going to keep going that trajectory. It's just going to keep going onward and upward. All right. So they're collaborative. It's helping you. They're doing a lot. They are helping you with, you know, getting lead generation, which is really great. I know that you have another business. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes. So about 5 years ago, my daughter and I started. It's a small company, and With Intention LLC. With her, her, and one of her girlfriends, one of her best friends. And our thought process behind that was we wanted a way to give back to the community. And so what we did was, on our free time, we would host various events in the community with the intent of providing, you know, giving back to a local charity or a local school. So we hosted an artist showcase, a local artist showcase, where we had performers come out and perform whatever their specialty was. And through that event, we were able to donate $500 to a charter school in Newark. And then we had various like fundraising events, and we do game nights and things like that, where we were able to donate funds to a women's shelter in New Brunswick. So we do different things like that. Now, again, that is a part-time endeavor, and so we do it on our free time. We are a little stagnated right now because of COVID. You know, people are not gathering as much. We had an event planned in January because we thought we were coming out of it. You know, towards the end of last year, we had set a date, and we were going to have a game night. We were going to do a Family Feud theme, and we were going to donate the proceeds of that to another organization, but we had to put that on pause. And so we try to do 3 or 4 events throughout the year. We always identify who will benefit from it, so whether it's a school, a charity, we do coat drives and things like that for different, you know, like the YMCA and things like that.
Love it. And I'll bet you, as you continue on your success with Blue Moon, that you'll maybe be able to do some kind of tie-in with some profits from that, and then give it to your other end, which is With Intention. So that's wonderful.
Yes.
Well, Shanequa, this was great. I wish you nothing but continued success from here on out, that, you know, things are just going to get brighter and brighter as the days go on. You know, we're in February, so we got a little bit of going there.
just another 30 days.
But it's going to be opening up for you, and I thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
And to find out more about Shanequa, we're going to put up her contact information for you, and you can reach out to her and get your estate sale scheduled with her up in North Jersey there. And thank you once again for joining in with Franchise Focus. I am your host, Lisa Linkowski, and I am the owner of Milestone Franchising. Franchise Focus airs every Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And to learn more about me, you can visit my website at milestonefranchising.com.